Clip of the Day.
Rebelization of the Middle East. The United States government has now approved the sale of $5.4 billion in missiles to Saudi Arabia. These missiles are of a very specific type. This is the PAC-3 missiles. They defend against incoming aircraft and missiles. So this is obviously part of the Iran cabal, the gambit. Let's call it the Iran gambit, which, yes, I'm going there again, was filled with testimony on the Hill by our friend John F. Kerry. He loves his initials. And I have some clips. I'm breaking my own rules yet again.
I just don't understand how you can do it.
What's nice to see is
if you're clipping them down and you're really cutting them down, I'm not too...
You know what's great is that the senators, I think it's the senators, because this treaty, and it is a treaty, must be approved by 2/3 of the Senate. These guys are fed up with Kerry's long-windedness as well, so they're cutting him off. They're starting to just cut him off and just be nasty to him. Let me see where I shall start.
What's the problem that Kerry has when they're cutting him off like that is that the Democrats are as much on board with the Republicans and to go after Kerry. So in a normal situation, you'd have a Republican cutting somebody off and some Democrat, oh, you shouldn't cut him off. But no. Yeah, that's a good point.
Now, the Constitution, Article 2, Section 2, Paragraph 2, states that treaties must be made with advice and consent of advice from the Senate and consent of 2/3 or the majority. So 2/3 of the Senate, 67 votes, I believe it is. And this is a problem. We've already tried the world thinks it's a good idea. The United Nations Security Council voted for it. So that's good enough. That should be good enough for everybody. It's very difficult. And now we have Kerry stating that this is not a treaty. And do you know why it's not a treaty?
I'd love to know.
228 years, the Constitution provided a way out of that mess by allowing treaties to be with the advice and consent of 67 U.S. senators. Why is this not considered a treaty?
Well, Congressman, I spent quite a few years trying to get a lot of treaties through the United States Senate, and frankly, it's become physically impossible. That's why. Because you can't pass a treaty anymore.
It's a treaty. It's not a treaty because you can't pass a treaty.
Wow. Wow. That is Clip of the Day.
Oh, man. At the very end, I'm so happy I just slid in safe on that one.
Barely.
Clip of the Day.
Unbelievable.
He continues, if you're interested.
Oh, yeah.
And it's become impossible to, schedule. It's become impossible to pass. And I sat there leading the charge on the Disabilities Treaty, which fell to basically ideology and politics. So I think that's the reason why.
But let's say Congress doesn't take your advice. We override a veto. And the law that's triggered then imposes certain sanctions. Will you follow the law even though you think it violates this agreement clearly, and even if you think it's absolutely terrible policy?
I can't begin to answer that at this point without consulting with the president and determining what the circumstances are.
So you're not committed to following the law?
No, I said I'm not going to deal with a hypothetical. That's all.